Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and today I'm going to be doing a response to Craig. This is going to be 21 movies that I think everyone should own. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with um, the top 20 plus one for 2021. This is just something separate, and it's a response that I wanted to do. I know Brad did a list. I watched his. Craig did his list. Of course, he created it. Um, John from Project Ellsworth did one. I haven't watched it yet because I didn't want it to influence my decision making. But if anyone else has done it, I'd be more than happy to watch it. Just put a link down in the description box or down in the comments, rather. And I tried to do something a little bit different. I'm not going with personal favorites because I have some weird taste in movies. So, and I'll kind of explain as we go along. I'm going to try not to be too long winded. And these are not in any kind of order. This is just 21 movies I think everybody should own, and I picked every single genre of movies just about. All right, and this will be a explanation. For 21, like I said, these aren't ranked. These can go anywhere. I picked The Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood. The reason I picked that is because I believe that that's a movie that everybody can pretty much relate with. I like a lot of the spaghetti westerns are some of my favorites, but I try to pick movies that I think everyone should own. Um, I do like The Unforgiven, and I believe it's probably the most um, agreeable with most people. So yeah, so that's 21. Uh, Coming up next is Airplane. Now, I didn't pull any of these movies because I'm sure you guys have seen all of these movies plus the covers and back covers and everything like that. The next movie is Airplane. I think Airplane is hysterical. It's a just a turn off your brain feel good movie, and I've always loved it. So yeah, Airplane at number 20. Coming up next is The Karate Kid. Now I had this take kind of sports, martial arts, and everything. I wanted to put some more martial arts on there, but most they're fans of martial arts, but it just doesn't fit every type of person. Not that this does either, but it'll fit more than that. So that's what I'm trying to explain. So yeah, The Karate Kid. Um, Coming up next is a romantic comedy, and that's When Harry Met Sally. I think it's a fantastic film. It definitely earned a, I believe it earned an Oscar, or it was up for an Oscar. Either way, it's just a fantastic movie, and I have a lot of fond memories from it. And I think a lot of people can relate to it. Coming up next is Silence of the Lambs. Now, this might have been an easy pick. This is not a thriller, this is a horror movie. They just called it thriller because horror gets a bad stigma. So it's it's just a fantastic movie, and Anthony Hopkins just knocks it out of the park. Okay, coming up next is Back to the Future. Another movie, I mean, I don't talk about a lot of these movies a lot unless we're live streaming or something like that because my channel is basically horror based. But these are fantastic movies and movies that I do love. Back to the Future is just brilliant. I've always liked it. It has so much rewatchability potential. Michael J. Fox at his best, and it's just a fantastic movie. I do like the sequels as well, but the first one is definitely the best in my opinion. Coming up next is a gangster movie, The Godfather. A lot of people prefer Godfather Part 2. I am not one of those people. I prefer the original. I think the second one is almost as good, but if I pick the second one, then you're right in the middle of a story, and that's also going to apply to another movie that's going to be on my list. So that's The Godfather. Coming up next is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. and that's kind of taken the whole musical sort of thing. This is a movie that I was really, really late to the party to. I actually just watched it this past year in 2020. I tried watching it in when it got its release on, I think it was VHS in 1989 ish, somewhere in there. And it was a bunch of people. I expected it to be something different, and we kind of shut it off uh, about 15 minutes into it. And then um, I had taped the live performance and watched that in 2019, which was, in my opinion, it wasn't very good. So I didn't have a lot of hope for the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and my buddies Brad and Joe said, "You got to watch it. You got to watch it." I was like, "All right, fine, I'll watch it." Had it in my collection forever and just never watched it. Um, it's amazing. It is. I was either going to pick Rocky Horror or Grease. I actually like Rocky Horror better. So yeah. All right. Now a title with a similar name, Rocky. I am a big fan of the Rocky franchise, including Creed. Um, Rocky is an amazing movie. It's not my favorite of the bunch, but again, these are movies that you need to own. Yes, I would say go out and get the entire Rocky collection, but if you're only going to pick one and own one, I would say definitely the first. Um, all right, coming up next is a bit of horror, and that is Jaws. While I tend to flip flop between Jaws and Jaws 2 simply because Jaws 2 is more of a like a slasher movie with a shark, Jaws is just an amazing film. And I think I'm constantly blown away by it every time I watch it because even though I've seen it probably a million times, I forget how good this movie is. It's amazing. All right, coming up next is I wanted to pick one from Disney, and I picked Old Yeller. That's one of my all-time favorites. Yes, it made me cry at the end when I was a little kid. Probably still would today. I haven't seen it in a while. But picking a cartoon is would have been hard for me because if I ask 20 different people what their favorite Disney cartoon is, you're probably going to get at least 15 different answers. So I went with Old Yeller because it's an old standby and I love the movie. I think it was done really well. All right, coming up next is a personal favorite of mine. Um, this I kind of broke my own rule with, but I love this movie, and this is a movie I think everyone does need to own. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And it's Blade Runner. One of my favorite all time movies ever. And it's just amazing. Yeah. Blade Runner's awesome. So much atmosphere, so much. The futuristic cities are so cool. Harrison Ford is brilliant in it. Um, it's just an amazing movie. All right, coming up next, and this is going to also apply to the not leaving you in the middle rule, is Star Wars A New Hope. Now, this is going to break the rule and make the rule. I would probably have picked Empire Strikes Back, but that puts you in the middle, and you haven't seen the first one. But then again, A New Hope really isn't the first one, that's The Phantom Menace. But A New Hope came out before any of the other ones. So I picked A New Hope because it's a brilliant film, and yeah, I just love it. Okay, coming up next is a superhero film. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a problem. And it's not actually my favorite superhero movie, but the reason why I picked it, um, well, I'll explain. It's The Avengers, the first one. For me, it was the first time seeing all these characters together. I mean, you see a little bit of it here and there at the end of the Marvel films, but to actually see Iron Man and Hulk and Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow, all those people together for the first time, it just blew my mind, and it was a childhood dream come true. So yeah, The Avengers. Coming up next is one that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but it's, like I said, this kind of falls in line with Blade Runner. It's a personal favorite of mine, and that is Just Friends. Um, Ryan Reynolds does comedy so well. He's a great actor, and I just think his performance in this was brilliant. And it's like a who's who of people in the film anyway, and I just find it hysterical. So yeah, Just Friends is one I definitely think everyone should own. Coming up next, this is from my favorite director of all time, but it's not my favorite movie by him. But I think it's the one that people would relate to the best, and that is The Departed. Um, there are some of his movies that I like better. I like Goodfellas better. I like Casino better. But The Departed, I think, is what more people are going to like and what I think people should own in their collections. So, and I do love The Departed. It's a fantastic movie. All right. Coming up next is a war film. And this was a tough one for me because this is also not my favorite war film, but it's a film that I think you go too far this way, you get where it's overly violent. You go too far this way, you get where it's really morally depressing. And I picked Platoon. Platoon is told brilliantly. And what I meant by too violent, maybe Casualties of War or Full Metal Jacket. And on this side, you got the morally depressing Hamburger Hill and some of the other ones. I think Platoon blends the both together the best and has the best storytelling. So that is my pick for that one. Coming up next, I couldn't have a top 21 movies that you need to own list and not put a James Bond film on there. This is not my favorite. This was the first one I saw. This is the one I think is one of the best James Bond films ever, and that is Goldfinger. I think that should be in everyone's collection. And you don't need to see any of the other Bond films in order to appreciate Goldfinger. It establishes the character. You don't have a return of the villain in this one, like Jaws made several appearances. So, yeah, Goldfinger I think is perfect. Coming up next, and this is one that Brad and I have in common on our list. We had a few. We had a few of them. Clerks. Clerks to me is amazing, and this is my favorite Kevin Smith film. I could have put other films on there that would have been like romantic comedy. You could have put Jersey Girl on there, or I mean, there's just so many. His films are brilliant, but Clerks really made a difference to me and was a different style of filmmaking. So yeah, Clerks definitely has to be on the list. Coming up next, the last two I saved for last. I didn't do it. I actually didn't do it on purpose, but it kind of worked out because this is a horror-based channel. Um, The Shining, Stanley Kubrick. Just an amazing film. I know we all know the story that Stephen King wasn't fond of his adaptation, but so what? It's a great movie. So yeah, The Shining needs to be in everyone's collection. It's just fantastic. And the last one, number 21, although we're not really, these aren't in any kind of numerical order, is Halloween. Um, Slasher movies are tough, and I hesitated to put one on there because I had already had Silence of the Lambs, The Shining, and Jaws. But this movie is just about the perfect film. Um, there's very few nitpicks with this movie, and most of them are just that, just nitpicks. So, yeah, Halloween definitely has to be in a must-own collection. So, yeah, I hope you liked my list. Like I said, I didn't pull the movies because everybody's seen the movies a million times if you watch YouTube. If you have done this list, I would definitely like to check out what you put. So leave a link in the comments below, or just to say, hey, I did a list. And thank you, Craig, for doing this. This was amazing. And until next time, peace.